The MMA world is ablaze today. There is commotion, disagreement, and outcry. Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira were both threatened by Ilia Topuria. Islam retaliated quickly as well. Let's get started. Ilia discussed Islam and Charles in an interview that was shown on a Spanish channel. First of all, I want to applaud Charles for taking on the challenge, something Islam did not accomplish. Now, Charles must pay the price for Islam. This is what Ilia stated. Sincerely, I feel terrible for Charles, but ultimately, I have to do my job. Charles, you stated that you wanted to submit Makhachev, yet Oliveira has the most UFC submissions. I'm not sure if you want to. Since I really adore Oliveira, I will do whatever will bring him the least amount of pain. Islam Makhachev, the former lightweight champion, responded to the unbeaten Georgian's scathing remarks on Twitter by writing, "The difference between you and me is that I clean top list in my division. Proceed to the next round. But you avoided two competitors who had 5 and N wins in a row in the featherweight division. In the lightweight level, you are a nothing. Just a Spanish big mouth with a beautiful haircut. We can chat once you get 1W, boy. The difference between you and me is that I'm a man and you are a coward," Topuria replied quickly. "I talk and I fight. You speak while hiding, leave no trace and flee far away. You're something of a punk." Additionally, Ilia made it possible for him to advance to welterweight. But he isn't playing because if the fans support it and there is a champion worth pursuing, he is all in. El Matador claims that entertaining the public is his main goal. But he is also motivated by genuine obstacles. He's serious, he's not just putting it out there. He is prepared to step up if the appropriate occasion arises, but he didn't pass up the chance to try Islam once more. He stated, "If someone wants to talk, they better be ready to back it up. No room for excuses, just action." Final quotation. After years of destroying everyone in his path, from Robert Whittaker to Kamaru Usman, Khamzat Chimaev is finally getting his chance at the gold medal against Dricus Du Plessis. It's a fierce stylistic clash, a high-stakes match, and a long-overdue title shot for one of the sport's most dangerous men. Luke Thomas responds to this. However, it hasn't been simple. Health problems and severe weight loss have plagued him, and repeatedly halted his progress. Can he make it to fight night? That is the current question, because the division should be prepared if he does. Meanwhile, Du Plessis is tearing up. In his first 2 title defenses, he stunned the world by defeating Israel Adesanya and then defeated Sean Strickland in what was arguably the most thrilling victory. He is now riding high with momentum and a style that gradually wears out and breaks opponents as he enters his 3rd defense. The game is thrilling. Chimaev's explosive wrestling fight-ending force and raw fury contrasted with DDP's unrelenting speed, unconventional striking, and iron will. However, everyone is closely watching Khamzat's health. Over the past 5 years, his health has been a persistent problem. From persistent pull-out rumors to COVID.
Khamzat, one of the most electrifying talents in all of MMA, certainly in that middleweight division, against DDP, a guy who I think we've come to understand is something of a cold-blooded fighter. And, you know, people call him a donk and goofy and all this stuff, but his style has been effective. He's a physical tank. He finds ways to win, undefeated in terms of at least his UFC run itself. He hasn't lost inside the octagon. That's the point I'm trying to make. I mean, this is easily one of the best fights UFC could make. Easily the best fight you could make at middleweight. Certainly no question about that. And just a guy in DDP who's in his absolute prime, going up against a guy in Khamzat who's been something of almost a what if, something of a wild card. We weren't even sure he could get into the United States. Obviously, now he can get into the United States, which is a whole other topic. But for the purposes of just talking about the card and the fight itself, here you're going to get him. So you're going to be able to put him in pay-per-view in North America, which is going to be really, really big and important.
New video of Khamzat Chimaev talking about his impending fight versus Dricus Du Plessis has shocked MMA fans. Furthermore, that isn't the Khamzat that they are accustomed to seeing. Chimaev, who is renowned for his unwavering energy and fierce confidence, typically exudes an intensity that causes his opponents to question themselves. But this time things look different. Khamzat was asked if he would steamroll DDP in the opening round, a situation that typically unleashes legendary smash arrogance, in an exclusive interview with Adam Zuber. However, he appeared uncertain rather than cranking it up. Fans immediately noticed the change as there was hesitation, an odd tone, and even a trace of apathy, as if the hunger wasn't there. His manner seemed almost detached, and his eyes lacked the same intensity, as though the strain, or possibly his long-standing health problems, were finally beginning to catch up with him. Speculation erupted on social media. This isn't the same Chimaev who threatened to destroy and dominate. The battle only became more exciting as UFC 319 drew nearer and perhaps even more worrisome for Khamzat's ardent fans. This is how the interview appeared. In the early stages, it will always be difficult to defeat someone like that since, despite his lack of technical skill, he is still strong. Hop used to make headlines every week, but recently you've stopped talking. What was altered? Look, dude, someone else would go crazy if they were put in my shoes right now. They detest the strain, the highs and the lows. Everything adds up. Life occurs. Everyone thought I was showing off when I called people out back then, but now when someone calls me out, it may be a sign that he's calm. Thus, it's usual for them to do that. However, I'm the issue when I do it. People seem to think that my quietness is a sign of weakness, but I'm not trying to please anyone. I just find it humorous when I'm stern when necessary and nice when necessary. They claim it's just a part of the sport when I am called out, but when I do the same, it creates a commotion. Chael Sonnen thinks the fight is inevitable and doesn't believe the story that Jon Jones is avoiding Tom Aspinall. The vocal former title challenger said in his most recent YouTube tirade that Jones hasn't earned enough money to simply quit the game. Chael claims that there is no proof that Jones is declining the battle and that the decision is straightforward. Do not fight at all or fight Aspinall. Sonnen clarified that it has nothing to do with strategy or leverage. It has to do with necessity. Aspinall is the only practical alternative, therefore Chael expects that fight to happen whether Jones likes it or not. In his opinion, Jon is still chasing paychecks and isn't in a position to retire just yet. This situation is getting more and more annoying, and for all the wrong reasons, it is now formally historic. Late last month, Aspinall beat Renan Barão's previous record of 534 days after defending his temporary title against Curtis Blades. This milestone speaks more about matchmaking delays than it does about personal achievement. Naturally, when the subject was brought up in a recent YouTube video featuring Demetrius Johnson, he wasn't overly happy. Aspinall acknowledged that although having the interim title is a privilege, achieving this kind of record isn't very noteworthy, particularly considering that his ultimate objective was to unify the title